Well, hello everyone. This is the Concern Forum, and I'm your host, Bob Gums. And folks, always remember, the facts do matter. Now, I'll tell you, at this point in time, I'm ready to put in I guess it would probably be a long distance seance call to Sigmund Freud. Because quite frankly, I think that a lot of us in this country really need to spend some time on the good doctor's couch. And, what's her name? Mary Trump, Donald's niece, the young lady that tells the truth about him. She has made some very interesting observations. And I might try to get to that a little bit later. But before we go over there, let me say something to my fellow Democrats. Look, guys and gals, it's time that you stop acting like scared kids. We like to talk about law and order, all right? I notice that this whole law and order admonition is usually used against people that we don't like. See, if a young black or brown person is shot down in the streets and the young boy didn't have a weapon on him and people gather to demonstrate and are naturally quite angry, the people who don't care about the members of law enforcement that are not behaving themselves properly, they don't care about the life that's been taken. They will come out with all kinds of, those inner city people are criminals anyway. Look how they shoot each other. Now, the Department of Justice and the FBI have told us time and again that there is essentially no big difference between the amount of black people that kill each other as opposed to white people that kill each other. Number one. Number two, why should that even be a question? Who came up with this thing about black on black crime? Crime is crime. Would you call Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan when the Irish gangs ruled Hell's Kitchen? What would you call that? Celtic on Celtic crime? And I know about Hell's Kitchen. The Catholic High School Power Memorial was right there in that area. And we used to go there quite a bit. I went to the South Academy, a Catholic school on 2nd Street and 2nd Avenue here in Manhattan. So as you can, I'm quite sure you've already picked up, I know Manhattan quite well. I also know about the crime in Manhattan quite well. And I can assure you, growing up, I saw crime in this city as being an equal opportunity employer. But we are so cemented in this racial thing that, I don't know, anything involving non-white people has to be bad, right? This is just like with this pandemic. The same people that choose to believe that somehow Trump was cheated in this last election of 2020. You know, there is a correlation between people that believe that BS, people that believe that, what the hell is that? Critical race theory is something to attack white people personally, are the same people that believe that they shouldn't take the take the vaccine. And if you think I'm kidding, take a look at the areas where you have the greatest breakout of the deviant strain of COVID, primarily in the South. You have some in the places like where are those crazy people having that bike rally? Is that South Dakota? You know, you have some strains in that part of the country, but this is generally a southern thing. I saw the map the other day on TV, and it's scary because it's almost like the way the electoral map was. And you look at a place like Florida and Texas. Well, let me say this, because I made so many notes last night. It's tragic. You know, you got to laugh. It is so tragic that you have to laugh. I understand what Lincoln was going through during the Civil War when he would tell his little, BS stories. Because you have to laugh. Because if you don't, you will flood your home in tears. Because it is so sad. Florida has the highest case of children now that have been infected with COVID in the whole country. Florida, Louisiana, Texas. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have to be out of your damn mind to move to Florida or Texas. And I guarantee you mark my words on this, for the last damn near 100 years, we got to ship Ma down to Miami. That's the thing. That's where all the nursing homes, retirement villages. That was a boom industry in Florida. I guarantee you. I give it a year and a half, 2 years. You're going to have people who are trying to get the hell out of Florida. Because Florida, now, it's a graveyard. It's become a graveyard. The whole thing about, go down to Florida, lay up, get some beachfront property. Yeah, right, if you want to. You saw what happened to those buildings that just fell apart. Oh, and that ties right in to what I was saying about people raising hell about some critical race theory, or who believe that Trump actually won the election last year, or who believe that the vaccine is a no-no. Remember, these are also the same people that believe there's no such thing as climate change. And maybe it's poetic justice, and I know some people will be offended when I say it like this, but maybe this is a case of chickens coming home to roost. Because Florida, in the last 20 years or so, they took that mad turn to the right. And I think that Mother Nature is paying them back for it, and paying them back heavy. Because the water is rising. It's coming, it's encroaching upon the land. What used to be dry land is no longer the case. And people have to realize that. And it's so sad, you got these people, well, Florida is a Republican state because of the Cubans. What Cubans? Now, we see Cubans in Cuba demonstrating about the conditions. What Cubans? Is the United States ready? Because when you talk about really just tearing down the framework of the Cuban government as we know it now, you're going to have all of these Cuban refugees coming here to the States. How does everyone else in Florida feel about more brown people coming into the United States? I mean, look how they treat Haitians, for God's sake. I've seen Haitians be, okay, you got water, you got food, you got a compass, okay, have a good day. And leave the four people out there. Because a Cuban can come to the United States and he's automatically or she's automatically taken care of. A Haitian? No, that's not the case. Many people will wonder why. But see, the thing about Cuba is that most of the people in Cuba, they're about my complexion. As a matter of fact, quite a few of them are not only my complexion, they're of my family. I'm half Caribbean on my dad's side. And my last name is Gums. That's Gumbs. We are all over the Caribbean. My cousin is the prime minister of Curacao, a Dutch island. My grandmother on my father's side, I believe she was Haitian. All right, she was either from Haiti or from Martinique, French speaking. My grandfather on my dad's side was from the Dominican Republic, Spanish speaking. And see, that is the Caribbean. What you have in the United States, and see, this is the thing that's so incredible about this country, because we don't know our own history. So therefore, how in the hell are we able to, deal with other people? See, we don't know how to take into account people whose looks and whose culture are different from ours. Quick example, this business about not wanting to teach American history, because you cannot intelligently teach American history if you don't teach about slavery. Because slavery was the cornerstone of this country, even before it was a country, when we were colonies. And to deny that is to deny the fact that the sun rises in the morning. I think that the best cure for that would be to start going to some of these major universities, these places of learning, and request that they stop recognizing states where kids are not taught full American history. How in the hell are you going to be able to raise people to go out and deal in the 21st century world when you, again, I repeat, you don't know your own damn history? How can you deal economics, militarily, socially? And unfortunately, to my fellow countrymen and women in the so-called rural America, guess what? The United States is an empire. At this point in time, we appear to be a collapsing empire, but we are an empire, like it or not. We cannot turn back the clock to make you feel better. And to a large extent, that's what a lot of this is. Because America has a very uncomfortable history, a very glorious history in certain respects, but also a very uncomfortable history. And you are not doing your children a favor by trying to stop them from learning about that history. And this is another point where the Democratic Party needs to stand up. Now, I believe that if we as Democrats, our leadership, our elected folks, if they would go out to the public and talk straight to them, straight off the shoulder, eye to eye, and tell them what people need to know, you still might not persuade a great mountain of people, but you will earn their respect. And see, that's one of the problems that the Democratic Party has with a lot of black men. I don't know these bigwigs that you see on MSNBC, for example. I don't know if they're aware of that. And I'm not knocking MSNBC. It's a beautiful channel. But I think a lot of times some of the folks that they have there, they don't really understand or have any in-depth knowledge of the people that they're talking about. Yes, black men are very happy, very gratified that Joe Biden won. I spent my whole time on this show talking up Joe Biden's campaign. Before that, I was talking up Bernie's campaign. So don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. Black men are very happy that Joe won the election. But now we want to see something. Are you going to stand up and fight to reform police procedures in this country? Are you going to deal with the almost inherent racism that black men have had to deal with from the time we have been in this country? Are you going to do that, Joe? When are we going to see something? Joe, are you going to stand up and fight for my right to vote as an American citizen? Are you going to be there for us, Joe? Or are you going to keep telling us that this arcane racist thing, the filibuster, that's more important than than people's right to vote? Now, I think that fellow, that so-called Democrat from West Virginia, Manchin, and that lady from Arizona's Sinema, I don't know what's wrong with these people. You're talking about Americans not being allowed to vote in their own country. You're telling some guy that maybe did a couple of tours in Afghanistan, maybe even contributed a body part, that if he comes home and he decides to move back to a place like Georgia or maybe Texas, which I think he should have his head examined, but each to his own, or Arkansas or Oklahoma, you're saying that you were good enough to go to a stupid, useless-ass war. And yes, it was useless. It was very useless. Obama accomplished what needed to be done, and that was to hold, bin Laden accountable. That was done. That was when we should have pulled out. But getting back to the point about voting, this guy served his country in Afghanistan. that black lady served her country, uh, sailing around the Red Sea, off the coast of all these very dangerous places. Or maybe he flew over the skies in the Air Force or in naval aviation. What I'm saying is, an American risk their life in the service of their country, they should be able to vote in any damn state that they want. This is not about politics. This is about what it basically means to be an American. Are you going to be there to fight for us, Joe? Or is keeping alive this remnant of the racist past more important to you and mainstream Democrats than my right to vote? Oh, and something else. You got a Justice Department. You promised us that this was going to be a squared away Justice Department, that there weren't going to be any punches pulled, no BS. You break the law, you're going to be held accountable. Now, I'm not a brilliant scholar by any means, but I did manage bit by bit to earn my college degree, and I'm working now on a master's degree. So I'm a little literate on the subject of the Constitution and law. And I don't understand why Donald Trump is walking around free making speeches. Now, don't get me wrong. His speeches were never anything to talk about, not from any intelligent person. But the fact that he's still being allowed to do that. And I would ask you, Joe, why in the... I know that you love this country. I know the reason that you pulled our guys and gals out of Afghanistan is because you love this country. And because you got sick and tired of the body parts and treasure, literally speaking, the body parts and treasure that was wasted in that damn country. Britain learned what was up with that. Russia learned. Alexander the Great learned. I mean, come on. You did the right thing. Some people might criticize your timing and the way that you're doing it and the logistics of it. But overall, yeah, we needed to get out. My son should not have to fight the same war that I fought. That's insane. That is truly insane. But you tell me the Afghanistanis have an army of over 300,000 men. But yet, the whole country is melding into the Taliban's hands like warm butter. Does that sound like our sacrifice over 20 years was worth it? That's one of the few things, for different reasons, that I agree with Donald Trump on. This whole war thing has been nothing but a drag on America's middle class. You tell me that you cannot afford to pay or let me go to a state college for free, but yet you spent 20 years blowing, I guess, trillions of dollars for a place that we're having to leave anyway. People have to want to fight for their freedom, to have that freedom. As a matter of fact, that's one of the problems that we have here in the United States. We have a certain group of people who don't believe in democracy. We have a political party that is now a clear and present danger to the constitutional order. And, you know, this bull about bipartisanship. No, Joe, as president, your job is to bring the nation together, not to bring the politicians together. And I think if you go out here and you talk to American people, and someone has the chance to put the issue in just that manner, I think you'll find that the majority of the American people agree with me. I don't give a damn if you ever get along with McConnell, if you can ever reach agreement on the damn thing, while you have the majority. It's the Democratic Party's job to go out to the American people and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Remember that bridge? Your school board had to get together and tell the bus company, listen, don't go over this bridge. Go that way. Because the damn thing was so funky, you didn't want to take a chance on a school bus full of kids crashing in the river. Well, we fixed that. See, that's what Democrats are supposed to be about. You're supposed to go to the American people and say, yeah, when you needed help, we were there for you. You go right into the damn district. This is America. You can go where you want to go. You go right into the Republicans' district, and you tell the folks there, yeah, this is what we're doing for you, to help you. All the Republicans want to do is get in your sex life, find new ways to attack black and brown people, and attack our NATO allies. Oh, and of course, look out for their rich donors. Now, I want a working person, a person that works at least 8 hours a day, that has to work to earn their money. I want to talk to someone like that. And I want them to tell me what the hell the Republican Party has done. Hell, for the last several years, probably even longer. That's why they are so desperate. That's why they're doing all these crazy things with the election laws, or trying to. Because they're terrified. They can't win. A Republican cannot win national election if his life or her life depended on it. Because the majority of the American people have seen that they don't do a damn thing for the average working American. As a matter of fact, it should be investigated. That party of today, the Republican Party of today, needs to be examined not only for their unconstitutional and illegal behavior, but just for calling themselves a political party. Because, and I repeat, they haven't done a damn thing to help anyone in this country. And the only way that they can maintain any kind of power is to get you to hate somebody or hate something. Now, seriously, you're living in the suburbs or in the city or even in rural America. What the hell does critical race theory have to do with you? Well, it's American history. Well, you already know. We have a very bad history when it comes to how we have dealt with people in this country. So what in the hell, what does that put in your pocket? Attacking me because I support the critical race theory. Which, to tell you the truth, I don't even know why in the hell we should. I think it was a bad idea to even get ourselves in a situation where we call it critical race theory, because all it is, it's American history. Black people have been treated abominably in this country. The whole world knows it. And it really trips me out when I hear people like Cotton, that clown from Arkansas, or these other Republican clowns. when they talk about, oh, well, this is to teach people to hate America. Listen, you never have to teach folks who to hate and what to hate. Okay? People know how they're being screwed over. They may not be able to use the fancy college words and what have you, but they know when they're getting screwed. They might not even know how they're getting screwed, but they know it. Believe me, they know it when they're getting the shaft, buddy. They know it. But yet, this is all the Republican Party does. They get their little, I don't know, their little pets, like this clown that was on Bill Maher's show. What's his name? Shapiro? Oh God. Now this is the same idiot. This is the same young idiot. It's amazing. You know, most of these Republican commentators, whatever you want to call them, never served a damn day in the military. Most of them. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying by and large, most of them have never worn the uniform. And you know what this little peckerhead had the nerve to say about Colin Powell? Oh, well, he was the affirmative action general. So basically what you're saying is that any black person or any Hispanic-looking Hispanic person that made it to that rank, he got there because of affirmative action. Now, Colin Powell and myself, to a large extent, we have different views politically. He was a Republican. But see, his problem was that he was like my dad. That's why I can sit up here and rip the Republican Party to shreds. Because, as I keep saying, I grew up in the Republican household. My parents were Republican Party functionaries right there in Harlem. And you know what this little clown had the nerve to say, this guy Shapiro? Well, if you didn't hear me the first time, let me say it again. Colin Powell was an affirmative action general. That's what he had the nerve to say. Now, Colin Powell has enough shrapnel in his butt and his chest to build a damn Buick. Okay? He's got that much metal in his chest, obtained in his service fighting for this country. And this little worm has the nerve and the audacity to make a critical comment about General Powell in such a manner. That's just like Trump, okay? Remember, he made that comment about, well, he made a bunch of comments about military people. We're stupid, we're losers. Oh, I like my military people who didn't get captured. Out of the mouth, this comes out of the mouth of a guy 5 times. Now, they know about it in Germany, okay? This guy's old man paid a doctor 5 times, a doctor that lived in one of his buildings, 5 times to keep Donald out of the draft, doing none. Now, I will be kind. Vietnam, to a point, has been behind us for quite some time now. But I think that the proper way to play that is the way that Bill Clinton played it. He was kind of a draft dodger himself. We'll put it this way, a Vietnam draft dodger. But when he was fortunate enough for him to become president, he didn't try and act like Rambo. And see, that's the exact opposite of Trump. I mean, how in the hell are you going to criticize things military when you had a chance to find out about the military, you ran like a March hare. And see, this is what really bothers me about the people that voted for Trump. Because you 74 million suckers, and believe me, that's what you are. Or put it this way, because I have to make allowances for those folks that have become enlightened. That's what you were. Because you run around with this whole thing about, well, I want my country back. I want to see American patriotism. I want my kids to learn how to be patriotic in school. I want my people, my children, to respect the flag. Remember when those black men, and I think a couple of their white allies, took the knee to protest black men being shot down the streets like dogs by law enforcement? And they were kneeling, I guess, under the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance, or what was it, the Star Spangled Banner, or what have you. Oh, my God. The NFL has become corrupt by the woke culture. Oh, I'm going to get on that in a minute. But remember that? One of the best quarterbacks in football lost his career because he stood up on principle, or I should say, took a knee on principle. But yet, when these bums attacked our capital, attacked our nation's capital, and used the American flag to do what? To beat up police people, to beat up policemen. And you had policemen from other parts of the country who came there and who beat up a fellow officer. And you have the nerve and the audacity to tell us that you voted out of Trump because of your love for America, because of your patriotism. No! You voted for Trump because you're a goddamn bigot. Ipso facto, end of the damn story. Do not insult my intelligence. Do not look in the mirror and insult your own intelligence. Admit who and what you are. You are a hateful, spiteful, un-American, bigoted a-hole. And you don't give a damn about this country. Just admit it to yourself. You'll feel better. Go in the mirror. Say it twice. I'm a low-down hypocrite. Say it 2 times. Then take 2 aspirins and call me in the morning. And you're the same people that will let the Republican Party use your children as a human sacrifice just to show, I will let my children die before I submit to the woke culture. That's why, if you remember at the beginning of this show, I said I need to have a seance and call Sigmund Freud. Because you 74 million people, you need help. Seriously. Just like you elect a congresswoman from Georgia that believes that, and they, to say these things publicly, that is what is so detestable, so frightened. No wonder people in the rest of the world are terrified. You talk to people from overseas, and that's what they'll tell you. Or they'll ask you, oh my God, what has happened to the United States? What are you afraid of? Why are you so this whole critical race theory thing? Why does that scare you so much? Why does that frighten you? What, you think that we're going to black folks are going to sit in class and learn American history? Well, number one, we already know that. We already know where we stand in this country way before we get to the sixth grade. Okay? I mean, I hate to tell you this, folks, but that's just the way it is. All right? That's what this country has done. I've never seen people who are so quick to talk about, well, they have to learn responsibility. People must have responsibility. And then you go out or you watch your leaders go out and do the most outrageous things. And then when it's time to say, okay, we got to hold this clown responsible, then all of a sudden there's like, I call it the deer in the headlights stare. They just, come on. Responsibility means responsibility. You don't want to, you don't want to have an America. You don't believe in the American experiment. You don't believe in democracy. And then what Republicans say? They'll talk this crap about, oh, well, they're trying to take the country fascist. No, excuse me. That's what I say you're doing. But you'll say, oh, well, AOC, she's a commie. She's a socialist. They're radical Democrats. Well, somebody kindly tell me what in the hell is so radical about enabling people to have a clean glass of water? I want somebody to explain that to me. And Bill Maher, you have this, that used to be my favorite show. It still is, to a point. I mean, believe me, whether or not Maher is my favorite show, it's not going to cost him a wink of sleep. I know. But it's just the point. This, what's he picked up on now? This thing about woke culture. Will somebody please tell me what in the hell is so wrong about being awake? Because if you tell me that woke culture or being woke, which is just, to be quite frank about it, it's kind of like a southern ghetto term for being, hey, are you awake? What in the hell is so damn dangerous about being awake? You know, I don't understand that. It means that you are alive, you are awake, your eyes are open. You see things that need to be corrected. You see things that are an injustice and need to be corrected. What in the hell is wrong with that? Show me in the Bible where it says, I must go through life asleep. Because, hey, that's the opposite. Either you woke or you sleep. Or asleep. Okay? Try crossing a street being asleep. Try governing a democracy in the 21st century being asleep. No, it's better to be woke. That's all. You know, it's like living in I don't want to say Alice in Wonderland. I don't want to degrade that story, but it's like living in a nut house. No, it's like living in 1984, where war is peace and peace is dangerous. And that's what we have here. That's what the Republicans, this is what they have evolved into. And if the Democratic Party does not stand up and start raising hell, I tell you quite frankly, you're not going to have to worry about who you're going to run in 2024 because it won't make a difference. And I tell you quite frankly, I'm not even going to try to crystal gaze on 22 or 24, quite frankly. And this thing about the right to vote to my white fellow citizens. First thing, please, I'm asking you, as a fellow citizen, I'm asking you, stop letting this modern Republican Party, stop letting it make a sucker out of you. Stop being played for a chump. I've been in the Army. I've been in the Navy. I've been in the Army Reserve. And I talk about that perhaps more than I should. But even when I was in the Army, and that was hell. But even that, it means a lot to me. That flag going up in the morning, reveille, it means a hell of a lot. I could never burn a flag. I could never burn an American flag. I know some people who were involved in protest, they could do it. I could never do that. Because when I see that flag, I see brothers from the 54th Massachusetts trying to take that fort on that island on the coast of South Carolina. What was that, Fort Wagner? And I remember reading the words of the Sergeant Major. Now, you know, in the movie Glory, 'cause that's what that movie is based upon. And they have Denzel and them brothers, right? At the end, and this is after Denzel, you know, he gets hit and he's down, Colonel's down. But a group of them actually get inside the fort and they get blown away. Or you assume that they get blown away because remember at the end, they have the cannon. The Confederates, they lined up, they got the cannon. And as soon as the 54th guys are in the fort, they run a little ways, and then they come to a point and they all stop because the Rebs got the cannons aimed right at them. So you can just assume that they're going to be blown to kingdom come. But in reality, the Sergeant Major, he survived that charge. He got in the fort, and distant fighting, got severely wounded, but he survived. He lived through that. And when he was being interviewed by the press after the action was over, what did he say? How did he say? He said, "Oh yeah, something to the effect, we held the flag, and Old Glory never touched the ground." Now this is a black man, right? For all practical intents and purposes, he's just, basically he's the garbage, or he was looked upon as the garbage of American society. But these men felt that they would rather take a bullet than let the American flag touch the ground. No, I could never burn the flag. Maybe I could burn a draft card, but I wouldn't know about that because I never had a draft card. I was too young to have one the first time I joined up. I was 17. Now, if I had waited until my next birthday at 18, I would have gotten drafted. But I mean, when I went in before my number came up. Hell, I was a kid. But anyway, that's why I could never burn the flag. And one of the things that really angers me is the amount of blood that black people, especially black men, have given in the service of a country that despises you. Oh man, I'd love for old Sigmund, to get his hands on that and find out what kind of love, what kind of belief makes a man feel that in spite of the degraded way that he is treated, that the thing with that flag, the meaning of that flag, it still it meant something for him. He felt that, yeah, I'm a part of that. I don't give a damn what these people say. This is my country. I love my country. This is the flag of my country, and I will defend this flag. That goes beyond patriotism. I think that goes beyond heroism. You know, I don't know why those people like Cotton and the other Republicans, I don't know why they're so afraid of critical, or that's what they want to call it, critical race theory. I don't know why are you afraid of your own history? You know, I got to correct one thing I've been saying, because I'm talking about hate. Maybe it's not hate. Maybe it's fear. What are you afraid of, Cotton? What the hell are you afraid of? Why are you all so afraid of your own history? I don't, man, you really need to get to that couch. For real. You really do. I mean, all we're talking about here, we're just kicking around facts. I mean, this stuff really happened. You know, the slavery, the redlining, the lynching. And oh yeah, what is that? I think it's Bobic. The other crazy. You got the one crazy from Georgia, then you got the other crazy in Colorado. The one that, does she have a high school diploma? I heard that she didn't even finish high school. I don't know. But anyway, she was talking about something attacking Black Lives Matter and Antifa because of the demonstrations in the Midwest. And no, you don't have to be a PhD to be a representative. But out of respect for the office, you should at least try to sound like you finished the sixth grade? Because the world is so complex now. And when you have a reputation for every time you open your mouth, something stupid comes out, I think you really need to sit down and check yourself out. Or when you talk about, oh, well, they set fire to a drugstore. Listen, slowly but surely, we're getting to the point that we need to be with this show, and I'm gonna go MSNBC. I'm gonna get a board, and I'm gonna start diagramming things, and I'm gonna show you folks when you talk about civil disturbances. Do you know that this country, we still this is my warning signal here. Okay. This country still has not been able to pass an anti-lynching bill. Now, you think about that. You think about all the times when you had mobs of white people just went ape and attacked black people. We talk about black folks and business, for example. Originally, black folks were entrepreneurs every chance that they got. After Reconstruction was, I hate to say it, what the Republican Party turned their backs upon black Americans and allowed the former slave masters to be in control of everything again. All the black businesses, time after time, they were burned out. A white person would always find a reason to get angry at black people, and the next thing you know, you have a riot, you have a lynching, and you would have, you know how many black businessmen were strung up just for having a successful business? Was it Rosewood and Florida?